Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stepped in to cancel an agreement between Labor's Environment Minister and the Greens Party for the creation of a federal environmental protection agency.
It was a really disappointing move that happened last week by the Prime Minister, and full credit to Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek, Senator Sarah Hanson-Young and Senator David Pocock, because they were negotiating in good faith to find a pathway to deliver meaningful and long-lasting environmental reform. So, you know, we came really close last week, and then the Prime Minister stepped in really at the behest of vested interests in Western Australia.
Give us an overview of what the deal actually encompassed.
Australia's national environmental laws have been panned as broken, ineffective and inefficient. And so this has been a long-standing reform journey that Australia has been on. It started under the previous government with the independent review of our national environmental law, the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, and it's extended into this government with their Nature Positive plan. Now, fundamental to that was the establishment of Environmental Protection Australia, an independent agency to undertake assessments and approvals of major developments that impact on matters of national environmental significance. That's our really important places, World Heritage Areas, nationally listed threatened species. So, you know, Australia copped an L last week. You know, it was a big loss, but we'll look to step up and rebuild because it's really important, these reforms.
Now, you mentioned there a little earlier about the Prime Minister stepping in to perhaps protect the vested interests in Western Australia. That being the case, would the EPA have had much power or influence over mining interests in the state?
Look, there were two fundamental things that were on the table last week. One was the establishment of the EPA. The other was the potential creation of national environmental standards. Both of those things combined would make a really important difference to how the environment is protected, but also give business certainty about how developments should and could be approved and really streamline. That was the recommendation from the independent review by Professor Graham Samuel. The establishment of the EPA wouldn't have been substantially different to what happens now, but it would have dealt with the amount of political interference we see with our current national environmental laws. And the reality is, what we saw last week with the intense lobbying from the mining sector is what happens day in, day out when it comes to the approvals of major infrastructure projects. And so the establishment of national environmental standards, creating an independent EPA that is arm's length from lobbying and political interference, were critical innovations and really importantly, backed by the community. Our research with Monash Behaviour Works shows that 3/4 of Australians support this legislation, support these measures. So the Prime Minister has really made a call to side with industry interests over ordinary and everyday Australians on this. We can't have a situation where this country is run by the mining lobby, and that's what it feels like today.